Adding on to the already grim situation of euro and rupees against the dollar, now the United Kingdom's pound has also added to the misery of the currency crisis. Hello and welcome to the In Focus series section of Drishti IAS. I am Aisha Singh, and in today's video we will be talking about the United Kingdom's currency crisis which is presently going on. So let us first understand the timeline of the video. First we will be looking at what is the news. Then what does the currency crisis mean for the United Kingdom? And few of the examples we will see that United Kingdom has gone through the currency crisis in its history. That is the Brexit vote 2016, Black Wednesday 1992, Super Dollar 1985, International Monetary Fund crisis 1976 and 1967 devaluation. And then in the end, a prelims MCQ and a mains practice question. This topic is of relevance from General Studies paper 3, that is economy. And these examples can also be helpful for you in giving examples in your essay paper. See, from exam perspective, you should be able to know that what does the currency crisis mean for the United Kingdoms and rest of the world. And few of the examples you can just remember about them. So let's just see the news. And this news has been taken from Indian Express, and it says, Pounded, a history of United Kingdom currency crisis and crashes. See, pound is the currency which is used in the United Kingdom or Britain, and the news says history of United Kingdom currency crisis. It means that the United Kingdom has gone through a lot of currency crisis and currency crashes in its past. So let us see that what is going on. See, Britain's pound plunged to an all-time low. That if you must be following the news, then you should be able to know that euro and rupees are already on its very low against the dollar. Rupees is, I think, around 75, between 79 to 80. Rupee is around 79 to 80 against the dollar. So the international investors have reacted to this currency crisis of Britain by pulling out their money from the UK and putting it somewhere else. So listening to these news and seeing this news of currency crisis and investors pulling out their money, the country's new prime minister has laid out few of the plans so that the money do not go out of the country. And two steps that the prime minister has talked about is slashing the taxes, because if the government of a country slash the tax, then the money with the people or the money in the pocket of the people remains high. See, like take example of yourself, like if you have to pay on your income 10% of tax. So instead of 10%, if the government reduces that slab to 5%, so now you only have to pay 5% tax, and the remaining 5% is in your pocket. So what will you do with those 5%? Either you will save, or you will increase your spending, or you will increase your expenditure. And when you will increase your expenditure, where will the money go? The money will go in the market. It means the money is circulating in the economy. It means the economy is moving. It means there is a flow of money in the economy. This is how when the step taken by the government, which is of reduction of taxes, takes place, this is how the economy moves. And on the other hand, it is also seeing that the spending to cushion soaring energy prices. So first step will be slash on taxes, and second would be ramp up spending. It means spending from the end of the government will be increased. It means the government will be spending more of money in the market and putting more of money from its end in the market, so that the currency of pound and the difference between the pound and the dollar does not remain very wide. And what is happening is, one of the major causes of this currency crisis which is going on in the world is the energy prices, the soaring energy prices, the very high energy prices, the huge energy prices. That is because of the Russia-Ukraine war. A very big reason because of the Russia-Ukraine war that the Europe or the UK is suffering from the high energy prices, because they they depend completely on the import for oil and gas, and that is the reason that they have to pay so much, because one of the biggest exporter and one of the biggest exporter of oil and natural gas is Russia, and European Union has put sanctions over Russia. So what is happening? They are not importing from Russia, so they have to import from somewhere else, and when Russia is not exporting, the prices of the oil or natural gas is rising, and so the European Union is also paying a lot of price for the import of oil and natural gas, and because of which their currency is depreciating while the dollar is appreciating, and the currency has fell. Currency means pound, here currency means pound, and the currency has fell to a low of 1.0327 per dollar. So this is one of the lowest levels that the pound has reached, and has fallen almost 8% since last Thursday. It means last week's, that is fallen around 8%, and since the start of the year, that is the start of the 2022, in around 9 months, 21% fall has been registered in the price of the pound versus dollar. Then the currency crisis that have marked Britain's post-war history. So it is not that for the first time the currency crisis is being witnessed in the United Kingdom. United Kingdom has seen a lot of currency crisis and currency crashes in its history. So before going into the example, let us just first see that what does the currency crisis mean for the people of the United Kingdom. And I've told you many a times that when the currency is depreciating or when there is a devaluation of the currency, then what happens? The exports increases and the import becomes expensive, because we have to pay more now. When we pay back for the imports that we are importing in our country, we have to pay more money. That is why imports become expensive while export increases. So the imported items becomes expensive, and there is a lot of amount that we have to pay for importing something. And the price rise for UK consumers who buy foreign goods. So how do we buy foreign goods from outside? When we import it in our country, and when we are importing something in our country and the currency is depreciating, it means we have to pay more from our pocket. It means it is harsh on the pocket. Then Britain's oil import. This is one of the major reason and is one of the major problems that the Britain would be facing or the United Kingdom would be facing. That is the oil and the natural gas. Because the oil and the natural gas is mainly dealt in dollars, and the difference between the dollar and the pound is increasing. So the Britain and the Brits have to pay more from their pocket for the import of the oil. Then UK also imports more than 50% of its food. See, UK is an island, so they are importing everything from outside, and when you are importing everything from outside and you are paying in an international currency, which if it is not pound, then be it dollars, so the difference between the currency matters a lot, and this is where the UK is losing as compared to the US, and the pound is losing as compared to the dollars. Now let us talk about few of the examples from United Kingdom's history where they have been through a currency crisis or a currency crash. And one of the famous example is the Brexit, which happened in 2016, and one of the most talked about world over event when Britain chose not to be a part of the European Union. When Britain chose to move out of the European Union and not be a part of the European Union, and this happened in the year 2016, and the pound slumped by around 8% when the news came out that Britain would not be a part of United Kingdom. Then pound slumped by 8%, and this was a day after British electorate voted to leave the European Union, and they already been on a slide for around a year. So when because of the news going around of Brexit, that the year of 2016, the pound was already losing its shine, and when the news came out that yes, Britain will not be a part of the Brexit, then the pound slumped 8%, and it reached a bottom of $1.145 on October 2016, which is around 28% fall from the peak. So you can imagine that when a currency is falling 28% within 1 year, then how much effect the country or the currency must have been through in that year. So this was about Brexit. Now let's talk about Black Wednesday, which happened in 1992 and the turning point for its membership of the European Union, and Britain crashed out. In this year, Britain crashed out of the exchange rate mechanism. Exchange rate mechanism is one of the mechanisms by which the currency remains stable in the market. And the sharp devaluation in the pound was observed, and there was also a bid to bring back the pound on level to other currencies, but the government hiked interest rate to around 15%. See, what happened was Britain crashed out of the exchange rate mechanism. While crashing out of the exchange rate mechanism, there was devaluation in the pound. It means the pound went low. There was devaluation. So what, after the news of devaluation went out, so there was a moment when the government thought of how to put back pound on level with the other currencies. So what did the government do? The government increased the interest rate to 15%. Why do the government increase the interest rate, or why do any government of a country increases interest rate when they want to protect its currency from devaluation? See, what happens is, when the government will increase the interest rate of a currency, like for example, present rate of interest which the government giving is 5% and they increase it to 10%. See, what will happen? When there is 5%, then the people of that country will move out to invest their money to somewhere else to get better interest rate. And when the government of the same country will increase the interest rate from 5% to 10%, then what will happen? Then all the people who were moving out of their country to invest in someone else's country or somewhere else to get better gains will invest in one's own country, because when in one's own country the person is getting better returns and a higher rate of interest, it means the people will invest their own money in their own country and the amount with the government will be absolutely safe and secure. That is why the country increases the interest rate, so that people do not move out of the country to invest their own money, and they invest their own money in their own country, and the money remains with the same currency or the same country. So what happened was, the Bank of England sold 40 billion worth of foreign exchange reserves. This was one of the biggest points in the history of the England, that the country sold 40 billion worth of forex reserve to protect themselves from the devaluation of currency. This was the story of Black Wednesday 1992. Now let us talk about Super Dollar 1985. From the name Super Dollar, you can imagine that how strong the dollar must be against the pound. Then the pound began the 1980s when it was $2.3, and by the early 1985 it had touched a recent low of $1.05. So you can see that it almost half, from 2.3 to 1.05. So what did the government do when the pound was not performing well? They again put up the interest rates to prevent a further slide. And few of the biggest economies or the industrial nation at that point of time, they signed or they participated in a Plaza Accord, so that the strengthening of dollar can be prevented and all the other currencies which were going through a crisis can be increased or can be raised. Then the world's 5 leading industrial nations agreed that the US dollar was overvalued. The important word here is overvalued, and would take action to weaken it. And as a result of the Plaza Accord and all the 5 industrial nations coming together, the pound rose back to the initial position and became strong against the dollar. Now let us talk about the IMF crisis 1976. That is the International Monetary Fund crisis 1976. See, during the mid 1970s, Britain economy was in very bad conditions. It was shattered and not at all strong and in a very bad condition, and this happened because of oil crisis. See, oil crisis has always been in a prominent factor, or has played a prominent role in the currency crashes of Britain, because Britain or the United Kingdom are a set of countries which are totally dependent on the import of oil and natural gas. So, and at that point of time, inflation topped 25%. See, in our country, inflation is 4% plus minus 2%. So, it is around either 2% or 6%. So, imagine when the inflation is 25% in a country, how bad the situation will be within a country, or how bad the situation had been in Britain at that point of time during the 1975. And the pound was at its low of 1.58 against the dollar. So what did the government do? At this point of time, the government borrowed money from outside, and the help from the International Monetary Fund was taken, and this was a very harsh step that the Britain government had to take, because at that point of time during the 1970s, Britain was considered an industrial nation and a very powerful economy, and a very powerful economy taking loan from IMF has been or had been a very negative effect all over the globe. And at that point of time, Britain took a loan of $3.9 billion. $3.9 billion, and the loan was the largest ever taken from the IMF. So you can imagine our economy, which is considered to be very strong, had taken a loan from the IMF, which was highest till date. So what effect or what sign this loan from the IMF by Britain had been on over the globe, because this had been a saying that to the world that Britain is not performing well, Britain economy is shattered, Britain economy is not doing well. Now let us talk about the 1967 devaluation of pound. Government struggled to contain spending in the 1960s, and the government had to spend a lot during this time, because already the currency was not performing well, and there were other circumstances also around it. So in the 1967, the pressure became irresistible, and the devaluation of currency was followed, and at that point of time the pound was 2.40 against the dollar, and it was officially announced by the government that the devaluation of currency has took place. Now let us come to the prelims MCQ. I think you will be able to do this one. We have done this many a times, and this concept of yours should be clear by now. And it says that what does currency crisis mean to the people of United Kingdom or to United Kingdom? First, the imports would be expensive. Second, the oil will be more expensive. And third is the foreign travel will become expensive for the travelers from United Kingdom. You have to tell the correct answer, and the codes are 1 and 2 only, 1 and 3 only, 2 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. And you people need to tell me the answer in the comment section. Now let's come to the last section, that is the mains practice question, and it says that list few of United Kingdom currency crisis since the World War II. And this is a 10-marker question and a very straightforward question. You do not have to write anything else, and give all the examples which you can. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Till we meet next time, keep reading and keep writing.